caverns, and we invited the heads of the departments, our families, our wives, and as this approached, people realized, you mean we're really going to have to get up in front of all these people and do this? And I said, not only that, you're not going to have papers in your hand to fiddle. We're going to have one manuscript on the podium. You're going to sit in a long line here dressed up. You're going to sit at the edge of your seat. You're going to keep your back straight. You're going to pay attention to what they're saying up there. You're not going to be waving out there. You're not going to slouch. You're going to put every ounce of your energy into this, just like they used to in the school recitation. And it was fierce. The way it went down was beautiful. The guy who was next, who actually had the last section in the book, what it was is each of them read about 5-7 minutes as we went through the chapters, just like doing old teasers in movies, so you kind of got an idea of the novel. We didn't reveal too much. The novel comes to a very important section, down in the cavern. They've found the pool. Beneath the pool is the hidden paintings. It's all really swirling and going good. And this guy, a member of our class, got up and read a couple of pages from the manuscript there in the box. Then he did an amazing thing. He reached in his pocket and he pulled out 2 typed pages, single space, both sides typed. And he began to read stuff we had never heard. we suddenly realized we are stuck with a rogue reader. And every so often, Lynn would shoot her eyes over to me, and nobody copped to it. Everybody sat there stiff and straight, watched this all go down. And then we realized something even worse than we had a rogue reader up there. This guy had been 2 years up with the Bhagwan. Suddenly, the main character in our books was talking about the 7th Sutra and the diamond thing descending into this and this over thing, the Oven Lotus opening up, and you could hear the teeth grinding. You know. And we got to the end of it, and everybody swirled back over to the campus house. Jim Finley was ready to wring his neck. In fact, everybody was ready to wring his neck. And he showed up, and I said, no, that was one of the kind of the rules. We're going to accept what goes down. Once it's going down, we're going to let it go down. We may cut it later, but I'm glad everybody sat there and didn't hiss and boo. They let it happen. So pretty soon this guy comes in. He said, well, what did you think? I said, now look, he wants to talk about it. Nobody talk about it. We'll never talk about it. And we didn't. He wanted to talk about it. I knew better. You don't talk with people wearing weird colors and guys going like but on the last day of class, there was something needed to be said about this because it had illuminated something to me, the flaw that happens in many writers. I saw it happen in Ginsberg. I've seen it happen in a lot of writers. The writing at a certain point began to be a commercial for something. He was selling something. He was selling his idea about what things are because he believed in this guru, still did. And he believed in him enough that he was trying to push this still. And I said, all right, I got it. Here's the last lesson of the class. That as a writer, or as any honest artist, ever so often you'll be walking through life and a light will catch you across the road and you'll look across and there will be God himself or herself, Jesus or somebody standing over there, and the light will be swirling around him and he will say to you, come to me, come to me. All you need to do is come to me, and muses will fly about your head. You will have life everlasting. Everything will work out. Say, fuck you! Fuck you, God! Fuck you! That's what the writer has to say because nobody else is going to say it. We have to turn around, and when Reagan is out of line, we say, fuck you! You know? It's not going to be musicians. when they start trying to do something down in Cay Falls with that river down there, and this is a great big amorphous force, and people are kind of accommodating it, and you'll read these owl reports or this report, you realize these guys are working for the Woods Company, or these guys are working for the Dam Company. They are lying when they're writing. That's no fun. As Nelson Algren said, the job of the writer is to pull the judge down off the bench and into the docket with the criminal. That's the job. Pull him down to where you feel what it's like down there. That's what made Steinbeck. That's what made Kerouac. It's not the celebration of Anne Rind's Fountainhead kind of character, but the pulling down of that character to the rest of us down here. That's where great writing has always lived and always will live. Anyway, as they say about circus fires, it was intense. But nobody missed much class. You couldn't afford to. One afternoon, H. Highwater Powers had to leave early for his job as organist. He read his section first out of turn and then split for the church. No sooner was he out the door than Jim Finley passed around a note that said, "Let's kill Highwater's character." Now, as cold as this sounded, it did in fact suggest a solution to a problem we were having at that point with the plot. You see, the mysterious lake that had been discovered in the grotto had to have some kind of outlet flowing out of it because of the underground river flowing in, and Highwater's character was just probably the very thing to... But that's getting ahead of the story. Thank you. Okay, does anybody out there have any good magician's questions? We've been up here about an hour. Anybody got 2 quarters? I'll show you a good trick. You got a question? Because he is wanting you to come over on your knees. They never want you to come over eye level. I hate to work downhill from anybody or anything. I don't want to work downhill or uphill from anybody or anything. God, this is what I mean about God doesn't want to be bored. God wants you looking right straight across into his eyeballs and being equal with him, working on things that are needed done. Never mind this praying. I've been in Mexico and watched these women walk all the way up on their knees to the altar and then turn around leaving these bloody trails round and around, and God is going, yeah. and that takes the writer going in there saying that. The woman can't do it. Even if the guy, I mean, you would never hear Shakespeare promise that. You'd never hear Yeats promise that. Yeats performs the trick and then steps outside. He's not trying to get any thing. He's not trying to get worship. The writer can celebrate, and you can come up with great prose, as in the Bible, great prose, but the best of the prose in there is when it really cooks right ahead, like in Ecclesiastes, and you're out there on the edge. It's not when they're singing the praises. Pretty soon you're saying, oh, yeah, right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
In reference to sometimes the great notion, could you tell me the final score of the football game on Thanksgiving Day between Missouri and Oklahoma?
Yeah? Next question. Back there, yeah. If we were blessed last year with a great scholar, for the people that were paying attention. Joseph Campbell delivered those 6 wonderful lectures with Bill Moyer, and he put it this way: follow your bliss. Follow where your heart is, what you love. And often your bliss will lead you to, like it led me to the pyramid. And so you go there and you're writing about it as you're finding out about it. The excitement is there because you're finding out about it. You don't amass a huge bunch of information and then dole it out like a parent to a bunch of little kids. You're involved with the subject. That's where what I'm trying to talk about is the energy that it takes to keep going. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of research and have it die on the vine from being over-researched. When you read Lonesome Dove, you can't help but envy it as a writer because you realize that when Larry gets up in the morning, where those guys, he's not sure where they're going. He doesn't know who's going to die or what river they're going to fall in or what horse is going to kick him in the head. And that means that he is participating in the action. That's what I mean about it. Yeah.
When you're working on a project, do you read for pleasure yourself, or do you stop reading other fiction stuff, for example?
Oh no, I go study a trick just the way I'd study Houdini. In fact, two of the questions that I gave in the finals to the writing class, they were astounded, appalled, impressed, and pissed off to find out that I gave them a written exam at the end of this with blue books and everything. One of the questions was, what is the Hemingway trick? We'd spoken often about the Hemingway trick, and it's a good trick, and if you know it, you can use it. It's just like having a good Swiss Army knife in your pocket, knowing how to use the Hemingway trick. It's a simple trick. You write very clearly around something. You describe the stuff around it so clearly that it becomes alive under it. Faulkner trick's a little harder. The Faulkner trick is you step off into the brambles, looking through the spider webs, running through the trees in the forest, down across the swamp, and come up on the other side on the ridge there, abject, unimpressed, and undeserving. And those are tricks, and we can learn them. And there's nothing in the world wrong with, if you're wanting to write a thing in a certain mode and you know that writer, I read Moby Dick over and over again, all the time. The great beat of the thing, that organ-like beat of the prose that goes on. You get into that rhythm and you can just go slip right on off his page and onto yours, and it won't look like his stuff. You can fake it.